A year ago, Mayor Pete Buttigieg wanted to be where President-elect Joe Biden is now.
I'm running to be the president for that day the sun comes up and the Trump presidency is behind us.
The two moderates met on the campaign trail, and now Buttigieg is Biden's nominee for Secretary of Transportation. Buttigieg boasts an impressive resume for a millennial nominee. Even so, he's been criticized about being underqualified for the transportation gig. As a kid, he says he wanted to be an airline pilot, but after finishing at Harvard and Oxford University on a Rhodes Scholarship, Buttigieg joined the consulting firm McKinsey. The short stint drew criticism as the company's reputation recently soured.
And the most extreme parts of the left say that his very work for the company is disqualifying.
But just 3 years later, he joined the U.S. Navy Reserve and deployed to Afghanistan.
My grandfather and his two brothers were all in the military. My grandfather was career Army. In my home that I grew up in, we had this painting of my great uncle. He had been killed in 1941 and became kind of a hero of mine. I came back home and I realized I still hadn't served and I wasn't getting any younger. And I started asking myself the question, are you going to make yourself useful that way?
He only got into politics between deployments, elected as mayor of his hometown, South Bend, Indiana. Buttigieg initially stood out in his presidential bid as the first openly gay candidate.
People will elect the person who will make the best president. And we have had excellent presidents who have been young. We have had excellent presidents who have been liberal. I would imagine we probably had excellent presidents who were gay. We just didn't know which ones.
And despite lack of national experience, gained attention while zeroing in on a message of generational change. The controversy came closer to home.
Pete Buttigieg's decision to demote the town's very first African-American police chief, a man by the name of Darrell Boykins.
The reason I demoted the chief was that I found out that he was the subject of a criminal investigation, not from him, but from the FBI, and it made it very hard for me to trust him as one of my own appointees.
Back on the trail, Buttigieg worked to reach across the aisle.
So this campaign is calling out to Democrats, calling out to independents, and finding an awful lot of what I like to call future former Republicans.
He often sought to draw comparisons between himself and Biden's former boss.
Iowa has this way of changing what people think is possible in our country. My first visit to Iowa was as a campaign volunteer knocking on doors in 2008 for a senator with a funny name.
Oh, come on, man. You think this guy's not a Barack Obama?
Buttigieg ultimately won the Iowa caucus.
Iowa, you have shocked the nation.
But he dropped out of the race before Super Tuesday to support Biden's run, and Biden quickly warmed up to him.
I don't think I've ever done this before, but he reminds me of my son, Beau. And I know that may not mean much to most people, but to me it's the highest compliment I could give any man or woman.
As a surrogate, the former presidential hopeful went all in with his support for Biden, continuing his effort to reach more conservative voters by appearing on Fox News, gaining attention for his Beltway burns. Asked on air why Senator Kamala Harris shifted her stance on health care after joining the presidential ticket.
There's a classic parlor game of trying to find a little bit of daylight between running mates. And if people want to play that game, we could look into why an evangelical Christian like Mike Pence wants to be on a ticket with the president caught with a porn star, or how he feels about the immigration policy that he called unconstitutional before he decided to team up with Donald Trump. If folks want to play that game, we could do it all night.
Several cabinet positions were floated for Buttigieg before Secretary of Transportation landed. This isn't usually a high-profile position, but the Biden administration seeks to make rebuilding U.S. infrastructure a pillar of his presidency.
Pete's got a great perspective of a mayor that solves problems and brings people together. He's got a vision of a next-generation leader, and with experience and the temperament to lead change today.
Buttigieg would be responsible for 55,000 employees and a budget of tens of billions of dollars, a significantly larger undertaking than his role as mayor and his campaign. He plans to use his role to fight inequality in infrastructure.
At its best, transportation makes the American dream possible, getting people and goods to where they need to be, directly and indirectly creating good-paying jobs. At its worst, misguided policies and missed opportunities can reinforce racial, economic, and environmental injustice.
Nominated by the president-elect, who's affectionately known as Amtrak Joe.
I've also had a personal love of transportation ever since childhood, though I know that in this administration I will at best aspire to be the second biggest train enthusiast around.
Professional experience aside, his love of transportation exemplified in a game he loves, Ticket to Ride. If his nomination stays on track, we'll see if Buttigieg can ride his cabinet position into stronger American infrastructure and a high-speed political future.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.